We as athletes have such a big platform and ability to help and be involved in these communities and are role models to kids, to other people around us. So just using our resources and the access that we do have to contribute and to help in any way possible.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today's guest is a defender whose leadership, grit, and commitment to the game, both on and off the ice, have made her a standout at every level she's played. After 4 strong seasons anchoring the blue line at Yale University, Olivia Muhn has proven herself to be a steady, reliable force on the ice. She's also made quite the impact off of it as a mentor, leader, and role model in her community. Olivia, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Good. Yes, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Been really looking forward to this conversation. Every story has a first chapter. And in that first chapter, I want to hear more about you. Let's go back to Burlington, Ontario, where you're from. How did you first fall in love with hockey?
My earliest memories of hockey were probably watching the Leafs. Big Leafs fan, family loves it, and just my dad taking my older brother and I to the games, and both of us really got into it just from a super young age. And then when I was 4, my parents threw me on a boys team and pretty much put me on the ice and said, go for it, go skate. No experience, nothing whatsoever. So just the connections through my family and just it being such a core, not a core value, but something that we all love.
And what was it like playing on those boys' teams early on? How do you think that time kind of helped to shape your game, especially so early on?
Aggression, probably.
Good
I took a
answer.
lot
Yeah,
of
that's fair.
penalties in my boys' years, as I call it, but just being aggressive and fighting for my place on those teams.
And being from Burlington, you also had the opportunity to start your career with those Burlington Barracudas. What did it mean for you to be able to skate for your local team and represent your community, especially with the fact that, as you mentioned, hockey is so important to you, so important to your family, and now you're playing it in front of them?
It was definitely a super special feeling. My family, my siblings, I have 4 siblings, so they were all able to come to all my games, being able to play in front of my parents, my cousins, and just the group that I grew up playing with. Most of us played together from the time we were 8 until we left for university. So just being with that core group as well was a super special thing.
Leadership has been something that's followed you throughout your career at every level that you've played at. Literally every level you play at, you are a core piece of that leadership team. And in this case, your final 2 seasons with those aforementioned Burlington Barracudas, you wore the C. What did leadership mean to you, and how did that responsibility, especially again at such a young age, shape you both on and off the ice?
I think for me, getting to wear the C, it was definitely a huge honor, but I don't know if it really changed much about how I went about my game or about being a part of the team. I wanted to be a good role model and just a good teammate, good player to everyone around me. So wearing the C was definitely, it was more outwardly shown that I was a leader on the team, but I don't know if it really changed much of how I approached the game.
When you think about leadership, was that something that you've always kind of had that quality about you? And where do you think you got it from? I mean, it might be an obvious answer, but I'd still love to hear it.
I I think it's more so being an older sister and just having younger siblings that you want them to look up to you and be a good role model and a good presence for them. But also with the group that I grew up with and that core group of girls who were on the team every year, there were so many great leaders among them that it made my job really easy that I didn't actually have to do much. There were so many people on the team that if someone was struggling, they had someone to come to, and I was just more the voice between the team and the coaches at that.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, building a strong foundation again for the incredible leadership run you've had throughout your entire hockey journey thus far. Um, and keeping with those same Burlington Barracudas, you've had the opportunity also to, or had the opportunity. You have won multiple provincial championships with the team. Looking back on those experiences, how do you think those, big game experiences really helped to build your competitive edge or competitiveness, maybe if you will, so early in your career?
I think chasing the feeling of winning. My first year of girls hockey or of rep, we won provincials, and it's a great feeling, but it's also you don't really know anything else at that point. That's the only time you've been there and you succeed and you win. So every year you're trying to chase that feeling and get to that point again.
What did those experiences help to teach you off the ice as well about yourself, as well as how you fit into the team, and especially being a leader on those teams as well?
Probably the biggest thing is staying humble in those situations and also just staying calm and not getting stressed out about, yeah, we're down one goal with 10 minutes left to go, but there's still 10 minutes left to play. Like, let's keep going. Like, we still have a shot and we're still in the game. And that just carries throughout however many games you play or whatever level you're at.
When you think back on those experiences, what are some of your favorite memories? And it doesn't have to be winning, it doesn't have to be on the ice, but just like what was it like being a part of that league and seeing it continue to grow, and the impact that it's having on the community and the fans? Like, just what were some of your favorite memories of your time in the OWHL?
Probably from start to finish, the number of fans that our team and even other teams that we played that they attracted grew so much, and just seeing that in youth hockey and in girls hockey, how much bigger the game is getting even before the PWHL is formed. It's pretty special to see,
And
and just
how
knowing that we're there for those younger girls and that they want to come see us play and that they can reach that next level.
Okay, so I think you kind of answered what I sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just kind of got really into it because I love that's such a great answer. And I want to know, like, how did that fuel you then? Especially early, again, not to focus so much on your early career, but this is still the earliest chapter of your hockey career. So how did that fuel you? And like when you start to see these bigger and bigger crowds and consistent, it's not just one game, it's not just the home opener and then you see the attendance drop. It's game after game on the road, at home, you're still seeing these fans show up. What did that mean to you, and how did that fuel you as you at continuing or looked at continuing your hockey career?
In terms of fueling me and kind of driving me to continue, um, not that I didn't want to or anything. I was already committed to Yale at that point and excited for that chapter of my hockey career. But it made me even more excited to see that it wasn't just my team or the girls on my team that they were coming to see, but it was women's hockey and girls hockey just in general.
When we talk about the next chapter of your career, the next chapter being the chapter you just turned the page on, but when it comes to Yale, the obvious starting point or the obvious first question is why Yale?
I first toured Yale, end of grade 7, so I was still pretty young at that point.
Goodness.
We were able to commit way earlier back then before they changed the rules, and I remember getting there. The campus is super small. It's like 12 blocks or something, so super walkable. I loved how historic everything was about it, and then I got to the rink. I was there for a hockey camp, actually, and with their coaches. I met their coaches, met some of their team, and they were just such kind people. And I think that's one of the biggest things that drew me in is just the culture that they build and the people that they bring in and all the families are super good and just kind-hearted in general.
What was it like? And this is one of those things that I think, again, fans will see the product on the ice. They don't necessarily know the journey that it took to get you there. And in this case, making that commitment, like, thank goodness they changed those rules, but making that commitment so early, like, I was still trying to figure out how to be a kid, and here you are making this huge commitment for the next chapter of your life. It isn't just what high school am I going to go to? Like, you're
Yeah.
thinking way down the line. What did it like? What was that? What was it? How did you do that? Like, how did you make that decision? And who were some of those people that maybe helped to reaffirm and guide you through that process?
Definitely my parents were the biggest factor. My dad did a deep dive into all the schools and everyone who had reached out or we had been talking to at that point. So he knew all the details about what was going on, about their stats, about prospective playing time or projected playing time, and just everything like that. So he definitely guided.
What are some of those memories that you have that stand out to you when it comes to your career at Yale? And how do you think your time there shaped you, both on and off the ice?
One of the biggest memories I have on the ice is my freshman year. We made it to the NCAA regionals and we beat Colgate in overtime, I think it was, or last couple of minutes, something like that. And just how excited the team was, the school was, our athletic department. It was the first time that our team had ever gone to the Frozen Four and that we had ever even made it to the point where we had the chance to go. So it was super exciting seeing the whole school backing us and supporting us.
Okay, so this begs the question that, especially as someone like yourself who now your collegiate career is, I'm going to say in the rear view mirror. It is very close in that rear view mirror because you just closed that chapter, but nonetheless, it is in the rear view mirror. And when you think back to your time there, how exciting is it to just see the growth of we talked about the growth of the OWHL, your junior career, just seeing those fans continually show up. But that also translates to the collegiate level. You were living it. You saw that growth year over year, tournament over tournament, both at Yale, but also in other markets as well. How exciting was it to be a part of that growth and to see that growth?
Extremely. And I think it just speaks to like how much the game is growing and the fact that we are good and that we have these skills that people want to come watch.
This past season, and I mentioned it off the top based off of one of your answers, um, you led the team in block shots. What's your mindset when it comes to doing those things that aren't necessarily the flashiest of things and being that kind of a reliable presence on the blue line?
I think it's more less concern with getting hurt or anything and more you do what you need to do and you get in the lane and be where you need to be in order to help the team. If you get hurt or get a bruise, that's kind of part of the game, but it's also part of my job as a defender to keep the puck away from the net if I can. So
Yeah, I mean, it's in the name. So that's fair. That's fair. Has that always been, has your attention to the defensive side? It sounds like a silly question for asking a defender if they're focused on defense, but um, has that always been an aspect of your game, or have you seen maybe a change, especially once you went from junior to collegiate?
I think it's always been there, but it's become more prevalent since I've gotten to university. You have more opportunities to block and you're just put in those situations more often. So it comes out more, but also with blocking shots just comes with or physicality comes with blocking shots and just getting boxing out and getting that lane. And I think that part has more so come out in university and being physical and in the corners in front of the net and in more areas of the ice rather than just breaking up a play or trying to get the puck.
And is that something that maybe was helped by the structure and the coaching staff that you had at Yale? Like that they kind of identified, you know what, this is something that you could be, this is an aspect of your game that could both elevate you as well as this team?
I think one of the biggest conversations I had many times with my coaches was get away from the front of the net. I'm I was very comfortable standing there and boxing out and just being there, but going and being physical in the corners and taking the body there as well and kind of moving around a bit more in the defensive zone was r- very much encouraged by all my coaches.
Okay, then I have to ask the follow-up question. Now that you finished your collegiate career, do you feel like you're starting to feel more comfortable with the notion of I have to be away from the front of
Yeah,
the net?
probably in the past 2 years, it's definitely become a lot easier.
This episode is brought to you by MB Performance Nutrition, fueling the next generation of hockey players. Whether your athlete is just starting out or chasing next level performance, MB Performance Nutrition has free resources to help, like a meal timing guide and protein powder buying checklist. Founded by Melissa Bufunos, a certified holistic nutritionist and former elite hockey player, MB Performance Nutrition also offers one-on-one coaching, team workshops, and more. Learn more at melissabufunos.com. That's MELISSABOUFOUNOS.com. Let's be honest here. Making that jump from junior to collegiate, especially at a place like Yale, like academically, that there's a lot that comes with that. How did you find that transition from junior to collegiate with the added pressure of, you have to maintain a great GPA, but you're also ideally winning on the ice? How did you find that adjustment?
It was definitely hard for probably the first semester. You're kind of getting to the swing of hockey, what chaotic schedules all the teams have, but also the rigorous academics and all the exams having. In high school, you would have what? Two exams, a midterm and a final. All my classes had probably 4 to 5 exams. So just making that switch and just staying on top of academics. But at the same time, right when you get there, you're so focused on, let me do well in school, let me do well at hockey, that you don't really take a break and you kind of sacrifice other aspects of your life, like your social life or making friends or just downtime in general. So that was definitely hard for the first while, but learning that downtime's okay and that it's okay to take a break, I feel like definitely helped me both on and off the ice.
How valuable do you think having a life away from hockey, even if that life sometimes just is going home and just binging a bunch of Netflix, like how much did that, or how valuable was that for you as your collegiate career progressed?
Definitely more and more valuable as time went on, and I began to realize how important it was. And it kind of just lets you reset and refocus on what you need to do and what you need to accomplish rather than running from one thing to the next.
We are going to now shift gears to an exciting aspect of your hockey journey, which is one that hasn't begun yet, but will soon begin, and that's life in the PWHL. When you heard about the PWHL and you're going through your collegiate career thinking that you had to, really lean into your major, what did that moment mean to you, and how exciting was it knowing that you could play professionally, not only playing professionally, but also getting paid to do so?
It was kind of like a breath of fresh air. I could take a step back from academics, and I still want to go to medical school after hockey, but that will always be there after once my career's done. And hockey's something that I have the opportunity to do now. So why not take it up and take this chance to try at least? So it's definitely super exciting and something that I was very much looking forward to trying to continue.
Yeah, and at the end of the day too, you can always take the same route that Claire Thompson took, right? Like that's a perfect example. And look at how, she took that year off or away from hockey to finish her medical degree as well. And look at her at the incredible year she's having. So if you ever needed, not that you don't already have a ton of motivation, but if you needed any extra, there's certainly that right in front of you too. So that's exciting. Um, as you transition now from college to the pro level, what are you most excited about when it comes to these challenges ahead and the opportunities to continue growing as a player?
I think both learning from and being able to play with and against people who have so much more experience than me. They know all the little tricks and niche things about the game that I'm super excited to be able to gain that knowledge from them.
We've kind of alluded to it, but I kind of want to dive in a little bit more when it comes to preparing for this. How do you prepare for such an exciting, monumental moment in your career and stay grounded and stay focused on, like finishing your collegiate career, or your off season workouts? Like, how do you stay grounded when you have this exciting chapter ahead of you?
I think it's really trusting that all the work that you've put in up to this point is what you needed to do and will get you where you need to go. And uh, just taking it day by day, not looking too far into the future because that's down the road and not something that you can really control. But you can control what you do today, what you do tomorrow.
Obviously, it's a profound moment for women's hockey, and this in general, it just is another one of those chapters in the exciting book that is women's sports and the exposure that it's finally getting. Anyone who's been a fan of women's sports, in this case specifically women's hockey, knows that it's always been incredible. You just needed people to see it and just needed to be given the chance. Um, how do you see the league changing the landscape for young players coming up behind you?
I think it gives them so much more hope that they don't have to pick a career when they go into university, but that they can continue playing and have the option at least. And it just is encouraging for so many young girls who want to even get into the sport.
An aspect of you as an individual that really is important to highlight, and that's your work away from the ice, both in your community as well as abroad. How has your involvement in those communities, whether at home, whether abroad, whether in the Yale community as well, being involved in those community initiatives, helped to shape your view of what an athlete is in their community beyond just the stats on a stat sheet?
Think the biggest thing that I've taken away from it is that we as athletes have such a big platform and ability to help and be involved in these communities and are role models to kids, to other people around us. So just using our resources and the access that we do have to contribute and to help in any way possible.
Has that always been something that you've had as a focus or as a priority, is that you don't want to be just defined just by the stat line or you as a hockey player, but you want to be known for more than that?
Definitely. And it's more so that that's the way that my parents brought me up. And it's a big value of our families is service and helping others. So just growing up with that helped to influence everything.
Yeah, and speaking of influencing, you also founded the Barracuda's U22 anti-bullying mentorship program. What inspired you to create it, and what kind of impact have you seen it have over the years in the community?
I don't know if there was any particular moment or anything that sparked the inspiration behind it, but just knowing that bullying and everything that comes along with it is so prevalent, especially in young kids and young girls. And just that being the U22 team, we are the team that everyone else looks up to. We're the level that all these young girls want to get to, that they can actually see and that's relatable for them. So our ability to teach them and help guide them through that journey was probably going to be more effective than them hearing from someone that they didn't look up to or didn't care to hear from.
And for you personally, hearing those stories and connecting, it's more than just words on a screen or words on a piece of paper. Like being able to actually connect with those kids. What did that mean to you as well, and how did that continue to fuel this value, this core value that you have as an individual?
So the first year that we put the program into place, we were kind of unsure of how it would turn out. We dictated what happened for the younger team so we could kind of mandate it, but we didn't know how they would react or how open they would be to us speaking with them. But from the first time that we each paired off into two U22 players, and then we got matched with a sister team, we called it, which is just one of the younger teams in the organization. And when we met with our sister teams for the first time, just seeing how excited they were to hear anything from us, whether it be what position we play, what way we shoot, or our journey and how we could help them in those ways, you kind of knew that the program would be successful and that it would continue just with how excited they were to hear from their role models.
Another really interesting aspect of your career away from the ice is that back in 2018, you had the opportunity to travel to Haiti, where you helped to build homes and worked in feeding programs. How did that experience shape your perspective on what leadership means, what empathy means, and the greater purpose that is serving your community, um, not just as an individual, but certainly as yourself, being an athlete.
I think again, it kind of just went back to using the resources we had available to us and how much we have in our lives and what we've been lucky enough to be blessed with. And the people in these communities definitely don't have those same resources or the same access that we do. So if we have the opportunity to go and help them, why not? Kind of thing. In 2023, we did another mission trip, this time to the Dominican Republic, and it was a lot of the same things. And it just kind of emphasized those points again of uh, taking initiative and helping in whatever way we could.
For you personally, what did you take away from each of those experiences that maybe were things that you weren't expecting, or that maybe, as you kind of alluded to there, re-emphasized how important it is for you to continue doing this community work, whether that's locally or, as you mentioned, abroad as well?
Um, Probably the biggest thing is how much help is needed everywhere, whether we see it or don't, or have access to it or not. It's a need across the world, and even in the most elite communities, it's still present and something that no matter where you end up is something that you can evoke and help to work with.
How do you balance the requirements that these initiatives, that these projects take, with being an athlete at various levels, with the academics at various levels? Like we talked earlier about how important it is for you to be able to disconnect, and then there are often times where you're, instead of disconnecting, you're also making sure that you're staying connected to your various communities. How do you find you're able to balance all those things and be effective in each one of those areas?
I think, especially when the program was starting or we were getting ready to go to Haiti or go to the Dominican, that time was kind of used as my downtime rather than sitting back and watching a movie. I was working on the program or helping plan for the trip. And I know I talked about like downtime and everything being important, but it can also just be something that's different than school or hockey or your main focus is in life and just something on the side.
It being a core value to you, how do you see yourself, especially taking this next step in your career, how do you see yourself continuing to prioritize the community aspect, giving back to being connected to your community? How do you see yourself being able to ensure that you maintain that?
I think no matter where I end up, there's so much need in all of the cities where teams are. So there would be programs or things available that I could go and help out on the weekends or on my days off, or even if it's just donating to the programs that fund these things is definitely something more plausible if there's no downtime
Okay, that's
or
fair.
time off.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Um, so let's lump everything together here. So when we think about your legacy, we think of your legacy as a leader, as a teammate, as a hockey player, as a community builder as well. What do you hope people remember most about you, especially as you reflect on your journey to this point and then moving forward?
I think in terms of hockey in general, it would be that I'm reliable, whether it be on the ice, off the ice, just as a teammate in general, just that you can hold me accountable and that I'll be there in whatever situation's needed. In terms of community stuff, I think it's less of me wanting to be remembered and more of the idea that the need is always there and that we're able to is what I hope gets passed on.
What does it mean to be a role model for the next generation of women's hockey players?
Definitely something really special and exciting that I've kind of been looking forward to for a lot of my life. But I think to be the role model, you have to stay connected and stay involved in those places so that they can they can see you, they can meet you, and actually have access to their role model and you be in those spaces with.
Love that. That's great. And that's a perfect place for us to transition from this great conversation into the final segment of the show, which is a rapid fire question segment of the show. Now, I always say this, but I want you to know you can take as long as you want to answer the question. This is just my reminder to limit the number of follow up questions that I ask because, as you've also experienced, I like to ask a lot of follow up questions. So that's just me, just a reminder. You can take as long as you want in answering these. Okay. You ready to take the test?
Sure.
What is your go to pregame meal?
Pasta, chicken, and salad.
Favorite cheat meal or treat?
Oh, I have a lot of cheat meals. Um,
What would be one of your go tos then in that case?
Blizzard.
Oh, good choice. Okay, good answer. Good answer. How or do you have rather any superstitions or pregame rituals?
Not that it's a superstition, but I always do the same series of stretches before games. It just out of habit now. And I put my left equipment on before my right. And that's like everything, even stepping into my pant leg first.
What is your go-to pump up song?
Ooh, I don't really have pump up music. I kind of just listen to whatever the team's listening to.
Okay. Is there like so then let's ask the follow-up question to that would be when you're in the locker room, who owns the locker room aux and what's played most often? Do you remember?
Um, the locker room aux kind of mixed between three people. So our captain, Anna Bargman, Ellie Ryder, and then my sister, Avery. And it was kind of just songs by request. But for warm up mix, one of our freshman goalies actually DJs. So she made us a bunch of team mixes that we listened to.
What's one thing that people don't know about you?
I love puzzles.
What's one word your teammates would use to describe you?
Probably reliable.
What's something that remains on your bucket list?
Ooh, to travel to New Zealand.
Why New Zealand?
This looks really pretty.
That's fair. Hey, listen, that's a totally valid answer. That's a totally valid answer. Last one for you. What's a lesson you've learned through your hockey journey that you wish more young players knew.
There's only so much that you can control, so work with your controllables and don't focus on the other kind of things.
Again, this is perfect because it's just be where your feet are. We've talked about it a couple of times. I love that. I love that. And that's a perfect way to wrap up the rapid fire question segment of the show, as well as this episode of Rinkside Rundown. A huge thank you to Olivia Muhn for joining me and sharing her incredible journey from starting her career with the Burlington Barracudas to leading Yale's defense and making an impact off the ice through her community work. Olivia, this time flew by. This has been incredible. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps us to grow and bring you more inspiring stories just like this one from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.